The human delegation entered the peace summit with steady, confident steps. Instantly, the grand chamber froze. For a full 10 seconds, a wave of raw, primal shock rippled through every alien delegation present. The humans carried no weapons, no visible technology of aggression. Yet, every single species in that room reacted as if a mortal threat had just breached their most secure fortress. This was supposed to be the Galactic Accord, a historic summit convened after centuries of brutal, grinding conflict. Every faction, from the crystalline Cathar to the insectoid Vex, had come prepared for tension, for the expected hostility from their ancient rivals. What no one, absolutely no one, was prepared for was the sheer, instinctual terror triggered by the newcomers from a backwater planet called Earth. To the human envoys, the aliens looked exotic, a dazzling array of life forms. To the aliens, the humans looked like something out of a planetary nightmare, apex predators attempting and failing to appear polite. The first misunderstanding happened almost immediately. To show trust and openness, the human ambassador removed his helmet. A collective gasp, a silent shift in the very air, swept the room. The aliens weren't looking at his face. They were staring at the network of faint, silvery scars that marked his skin, healed burns along his jawline, a fine line above his eye from a long-forgotten fracture. Evidence of biological resilience that was simply terrifying. Many species present would shatter, their bodies giving out completely, under the kind of injuries that humans simply treated as routine. Whispers spread like wildfire, translated through their earpieces. They misinterpreted the scars not as accidents, but as trophies, the ritual markings of a warrior culture. They believed the humans had triumphed in battles so brutal they would have atomized warriors twice their size. The second wave of shock hit when the human envoy took his seat. The reinforced alloy chair, designed for beings of immense size, groaned audibly under his weight. Not from fat, but from a muscle and bone density the aliens couldn't even begin to comprehend. Humans, they would later learn, had evolved under a gravitational pull that many of the species present considered lethal. The envoy's posture was relaxed, a picture of calm, but two alien eyes. It was the coiled power of a predator, muscles tensed, ready to strike at the slightest provocation. The negotiation began. When the first point was raised, a human representative leaned forward, a simple, natural movement. His voice was low, even-toned, as he asked for a clarification. The universal translator, doing its best, rendered his tone as controlled firmness. But the delegates didn't hear a question. They heard a warning. An entire table of delegates physically recoiled. Across the room, dormant security drones hummed to life. The humans looked at each other, confused by the reaction, but they remained perfectly still, not wanting to cause offense. Their stillness only amplified the fear. In the wild ecosystems of 1,000 worlds, predators freeze just before they attack. The aliens saw a primal instinct playing out. The humans were just trying to be polite. The meeting progressed under this suffocating strain. Every gesture the humans made, intended to convey peace, was twisted into a threat. A human diplomat stood and extended an open hand, a classic gesture of friendship. The alien saw a 5-fingered appendage, a grappling tool reaching out to seize a throat. 3 delegates fainted on the spot. Another, a timid avian, tried to activate a personal sonic shield, convinced he was about to be struck. The humans, startled, quickly stepped back to give them space, to show they meant no harm. The aliens interpreted this as a tactical repositioning, a feint before a devastating counter. Then, the catering service arrived, and the terror reached a new level. The humans began to eat. They consumed meals with strong, pungent aromas, spices, and compounds that, to the delicate biochemical senses of the aliens, were literal alarm signals, indicators of poison. The humans, finding the food rather mild, ate with gusto. The aliens watched in horror, assuming the humans were casually digesting substances toxic enough to kill them, metabolizing pure poison with ease. They were immediately, and fearfully, labeled a species capable of weaponized metabolism. During a brief intermission, one of the human aides shared a private joke with his colleague, and he laughed, a deep, unrestrained, booming sound that echoed through the cavernous chamber. Every alien froze again. For many of the species present, Laughter was not an expression of joy. It was a dominance display, a sound made only when asserting power or celebrating a kill. They interpreted the friendly chuckle as a direct, auditory threat. The official summit reports later described the event simply as an acoustic pressure incident. The climax of the day arrived when a heated dispute erupted between two old rival factions, the reptilian Drax and the gaseous Lumina. Tempers flared, voices rose, and accusations flew across the chamber. Without a moment's hesitation, the humans reacted instinctively. Two of them stood up and physically stepped between the screaming delegates. They raised their hands, palms out, and used calm but firm tones to de-escalate the aggression. It was a standard intervention tactic, something you'd see on any schoolyard or in any bar on Earth. But to the aliens, it was something else entirely. They watched as this warrior species stepped directly into the line of fire without a flicker of fear. They assumed the humans fully expected to survive a crossfire of energy blasts that would have vaporized most other beings. The two warring factions fell instantly silent, not because of reason, but out of the sheer, paralyzing fear that the humans were about to impose order through brute unquijable force. Despite the chaos, the summit somehow continued. The humans finally presented their proposal. It was simply focusing on mutual safety, shared exploration, and open trade. There were no hidden clauses, no demands for tribute or territory. The humans just wanted stability. But the aliens interpreted this simplicity as the ultimate display of hidden strength. Only a species so overwhelmingly powerful could afford to negotiate without leverage. The humans spoke with direct logic. The aliens heard an apex predator offering peace simply because war would be an inconvenient waste of its time. By the end of the day, a new consensus had formed in hushed, terrified whispers among the delegates. Humans were not hostile. They were not unstable. They were something far, far worse for the galaxy to process. Humans were utterly unaware of the existential threat they projected just by existing. The peace treaty passed with unprecedented, record-breaking speed. Not because the delegates suddenly trusted one another, but because every single one of them was terrified of disappointing the calm, scarred, impossibly dense beings who had unintentionally dominated the room. The conclusion was blunt and terrifyingly clear. Humans had scared the galaxy into peace by accident, not through aggression, but through their casual resilience. Through the scars they carried without pride, through a calm that looked like menace and a strength they displayed without any intent. Their mere presence had forced the entire Galactic Accord to sign a peace treaty faster than centuries of diplomacy ever could. The galaxy learned a valuable lesson that day. Sometimes, peace doesn't arrive out of a fear of war. It arrives out of a fear of the one species that doesn't even realize how frightening it truly is. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more content. See you next time.